It's been a long experience with Gerald. It's a long friendship, and I look forward to continuing it.
What would sum up his legacy, if you were talking about that?
Well, I don't know if there's one particular fond memory, because there's been a lot of memories that go back, 60 years. I would say that his legacy is his loyalty to his friends and to his family, because he does. He is loyal to those people that he expects a standard from, and if they meet his standard, he maintains that loyalty to them. And I would say that that's his biggest legacy is he inspires one to a better standard, and then stays loyal to them if they maintain that standard. I would list that as his probably legacy. I don't know, do you have anything?
No, this pretty much sums it up. His family and friends.
Loyalty is his biggest legacy, but you have to reach a plateau to get to a level that he gives you that loyalty. He doesn't award it because you're there. You have to reach a plateau, and then when you reach that plateau, he's with you.
Yeah. The thing about Gerald is he's big and gruff, but he's a big teddy bear.
Yeah.
Lovable teddy bear.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to pass inspection, so I got
to... That's right.
I got to be friends with him, too.
Yeah. At work, I'm surprised that Dad, he worked with different administrators, but he always seemed to have, the same. I don't know.
The same rapport with
same
all
rapport.
of them.
Yeah,
that's right. That's what's so neat about Gerald is he is who he is. He isn't one personality with one person. He isn't. He treated Knipple, Mr. Welch, Mr. Amsoff all the same, and I would venture to say that they all felt the same way about him. Knipple probably a little bit more vocal because he, admits that he's not really a real people person, but truly. He just has the same rapport with everybody, the same with ladies and the men teachers. He was just Gerald. Mm-hmm. He was just really fun.
Over the years, Dad's legacy, what would you say at Nimitz? Or just in general?
He just a good man, and I never use those two words in the same sentence, rarely ever. Just, a good Christian man, family man, always have time for his children, other people's children, and his friends. I know no matter what, I called your dad by mistake tonight and told him I needed some copies. And he goes, what? Because I dialed his number by accident. And he goes, Penny, what copies do you need?
That sounds about right.
So anytime, anywhere, your dad, he's just a good person.
That's good. As far as his legacy at Nimitz, what would you say his legacy was?
I mean, you think about it, of all the people that I know, if you said the name Gerald Schottel to this day, and that's been many, many years, he still lives on. There's not another teacher over there really that I could say the same thing for. I mean, heck, the guy's been retired for 10, 15 years, and he still has keys and keys to the buildings, and probably can get a bus out anytime he wants to. So he definitely started the mark. You say Schottel, there's a lot of Schottels running around the district, but it was all started by the original Mr. Schottel.
Yeah, there was, I guess, something that would sum up his legacy of Aldine, Nimitz, whatever you want to say. What would you say?
Well, I don't. So when I think of Aldine, he's one of the first people I think of, because I think he encompasses what what we were like when it was just a country school and
Yeah.
in a small school district, moving into an urban school district. And your dad was one that he made that transition fairly easy.
Yeah.
Because he always kept the kids as the focus and not anything else. And I would just say if our district was full of Gerald Schottles, we'd be okay.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Johnson, let's start off with what's the kind of memory that you like that just empowers my dad, that you just, every time you think of my dad, you think of this memory, or you?
What I think about Gerald Schottle was he was the type of guy would help anybody. Anybody. I mean, if you just ask him, I don't care what it was, he'll help you. He wouldn't tell you no. If he didn't help you, he'll find somebody that could help you. That's the kind of guy he was. If you ask him to help you do this or do that, sure. That's the kind of guy he was. He didn't have no in his vocabulary. All help.
What do you think my dad's legacy is? You know, as he's turning 75 and everything. What do you think is a characteristic of my dad that you've seen and noticed?
From what he's shown me and to what he's shown even my kids when he come back and visit, is just a caring part of him and willing to listen and try to help guide you whatever direction. He's always just been that person that's helpful. It's almost unreal. That's I like to say, a old school thing, but he have it and he do it well, and the kids see it. He's helped kids, you know, in as far as Nimitz Automotive, for I think 20 years before me, but that's his legacy. I'm there if you need me.
So if there would be one way to describe my dad's legacy at Nimitz or just, you know, your memories of him, what would you go about describing that?
I think the best way to sum up Gerald Schottle as a person and as an educator and as a friend is love in action, because he was always doing something.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
Just that I love him.
All right. That's my one of my last questions is what would you say is Dad's legacy?
Oh man, I guess I just kind of said that right now. It's that community like that. You know, it's if you know somebody who knows the Schottles, and you know you kind of know that those are some okay people. You know, if they've been kind of vetted by your dad and by you guys, you know that they're gonna be all right folks to work with or talk to and get to know. You know, I was thinking about that. Like you know, you get to know, and it's not just the co-workers, the people that he worked with, but his students. And my students who we shared in student council, you know, they all have that shared history now. You know, I think about Ms. Wolf, you know, who I got to know through working with your dad through student council and everything. And it's just all those people that it's just a network of, like I said, friends of Schottle, you know. So it's a cool thing. It's to me, it really drove home the idea that Aldine is family.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, really, it's the people and people like your dad, and you know that made it that way, and keep it going that way. So it's just it's a cool thing to be able to say, oh yeah, I'm Mr. Schottle.
Yeah.
You know.
George, like I said, I just want to interview and for Dad's birthday and that, and you know, we appreciate you, man.
All right. Oh no, you're welcome. I appreciate it. I appreciate him more than anything. I think he opened a lot of doors for me, and that's why I try to help him out no matter what. I feel him like a dad I never had, because he always been there for me. I mean, like I say, if you call him at 1 in the morning, he'll answer the phone and go with you anywhere or try to get you help. But I try to do the same for him.
Well, all right. Well, thanks, George.
Oh, you're welcome.
So I guess my last question, what would you say is Dad's legacy?
I'll have to say it's you three. Armand, Jerry, Jamie. He and Bridget have done such a good job in raising such fine, decent young men who will continue their legacy of your mom and dad. I think they've done an excellent job. And it reflects everything you have done. It reflects on them, on the name Shawno.
What would y'all say if you could kind of sum up Dad's legacy in the years that y'all known Dad, and y'all know more history than most, so what would you say was Dad's legacy, throughout everything?
Be St. Pius.
St. Pius?
St. Pius, from the time he got out of the service and that, he loved St. Pius. I mean, I went there for 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
In that. I wasn't going to live there.
Yeah.
In that. He loved it. He loved living there in that little old room that they fixed up for him.
Yeah.
And he'd come home on weekends, but if he'd be there every day, and I think he's there every day.
Yeah,
I think he gets disappointed when summer comes.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get to go up there every day.
Yeah.
I will say, once he's working with some place, he's committed to it. Because at Aldine, he was the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, he did more for Aldine than probably anybody that ever worked for Aldine.
Yeah.
And Mr. Hart said that.
Yeah.
And then when he went to St. Pius again, he started it all over again.
Yeah, when Dad's committed to something, he's committed to it.
He's committed.
And that, that his legacy is St. Pius.
Yeah.
He loved it when he started there in the 9th grade, and he graduated there. And when he come back on leave and stuff, he'd go over there.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got out of the service, even though he was working and doing stuff, he was always calling and wanting to do things over there. He worked on stuff for him, and then when drove buses, and since he's been retired.
Yeah.
And you're not going to find that in anybody else.
Yeah.
Probably sometimes without pay.
Yeah.
90% of it without pay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think to summarize, your dad family is very important. For you boys and for the rest of us, family is important. Sticking together and keeping in touch and helping each other out and being there. Your dad is for me when I was growing up, very practical. Do this. Don't be stupid. Do it right. Don't do stuff that you don't need to do. Stay out of trouble, and just be smart about it. Make wise decisions, and stay close to family, whether it was physically close or, phone call away. Stay in touch close, but don't forget how important your family is. So that's what Gerald taught me. Just be strong and support your family. Be there for you all the time, and he did a good job with the boys. Kept everybody together. Raised you guys right, so I think your dad did a great job.
What's a memory that stands out to you?
There's some memories that stand out about Uncle Gerald, and whenever me and my brother would go to Peepaw's house, we would always go down there and play and hang out and stuff at Aunt Bridget and Uncle Gerald's, and hang out with Jerry, Armand, and Jamie. And there's one thing that Uncle Gerald, he would work your butt. And he never did play. I mean, he wouldn't play around, and he would always, me and Ronnie weren't used to all that stuff, and he'd get them kids to clean out the septic system and do all the septic tank stuff, and he would try to get me and Ronnie to do it, and we couldn't do it. I mean, my stomach couldn't handle it. But Uncle Gerald was hard back then, and now these days, I mean, he's came around. He's always been a good guy, but I really appreciate him these days. He's really a good guy, and we love him.
Yeah. Brandy, what you've known Dad, as an older person, so what was your first impression of meeting Dad when you came into the family?
He was instantly accepting. I've noticed that he loves everybody and is always willing to help and be there for anybody, anytime he's needed.
So, I guess my last question is, what would you say, you just use words to describe him, but what would you say the Schottel legacy would be for Dad?
When I think of the Schottels, I always think of how smart you all are, and I know that is a big tribute to your dad. I remember hearing the stories about, when you go to your house, it's watching the news. Yeah. None of that frivolous television.
No, you gotta watch the news.
But and clearly that has been passed on to you all from him and your mom, of course. But that's not what I get most. I think your legacy is truly the character, the respect you have for people, the love you have for people, the heart that you have for people. It's evident in all that he did as an educator and your mom has done as an educator, and even in retirement, all the work that they continue to do for schools and kids and what you do as an educator and the kids that you gravitate towards. It's very easy to be a teacher of kids who want to learn and want to do well and have all the support and the financial backing that they need at home. Yeah. It's much more difficult to do that for students who don't have that. And that is where the Schottels, I think, shine the brightest. It's because you do so much to level the playing field, to give every kid the tools that they need to be successful. Whatever it is that they're lacking, you do your best to provide that for them. And I just think that's truly is your impact. It's generational. So you will change. Your dad has changed the lives of people who are changing the lives of kids, and I consider myself to be one of those people. And you are continuing to do that as a part of that legacy, and your brothers are as well. Yeah. You all are in careers that help people.
True.
Y'all aren't doing things for the money unless they're paying you big bucks that I don't know about. So it's I think it's the heart you have for people and the heart that you have for what's right. That's the other part of that is what's right is right all day. And with your dad, it was very, very clear. There were no shades of gray. Right was right all day long.
What would you say would be my dad's legacy or I guess something that how you would describe Dad as a person?
I guess one of the things that sticks out for me that I would say is his legacy is sacrifice for the overall good. For instance, he's willing to put himself out there and do whatever he can do for anybody who needs help, even if it's people who don't deserve help, who always treat him like crap. Like, he always has that helping hand, and I love how he's instilled that in everybody around him. Like, all of his kids, they all want to help. They've always been raised to do that, sacrifice, and show up early, stay till the task is done, but give you all with everything you do. And that's kind of how he lives his life also.